A single gunshot shattered what should have been an ordinary day at Utah Valley University. Students were laughing, chatting, and moving between classes when the sound cut through the air, plunging the campus into chaos and fear. Within moments, the scene transformed into one of panic, hundreds of students running, sirens blaring, and a community left in shock. At the center of it all lay Charlie Kirk, a young leader whose promising life ended abruptly in front of his peers. His death was not only a tragedy for those who knew him personally, but also a turning point for the university, the town, and soon the nation. Subscribe now so you don't miss the unfolding details in this story. Charlie Kirk's presence on campus was more than casual. He was seen as a rising voice among students, someone who offered encouragement, stood for causes, and inspired those around him. That morning was no different. He smiled, shook hands, and prepared to speak, unaware that in just minutes, his life would be stolen. Witnesses recall the sudden sound, some mistaking it for fireworks or a car backfiring. But as screams broke out and students scattered, it became clear this was no accident. Charlie collapsed, fatally wounded, and panic consumed the quad. By nightfall, headlines across the nation declared the tragedy: a student gunned down in broad daylight at Utah Valley University. Authorities moved swiftly, announcing the next day that they had a suspect in custody. Within just 33 hours of the shooting, police named Tyler Robinson, a 22-year-old student, as the alleged gunman. They labeled him a lone wolf, painting a picture of an isolated young man who had planned and executed the act on his own. For the public, the speed of the arrest offered some comfort. The dangerous individual was caught. The threat was over. Yet, beneath the surface, doubts emerged. Many wondered how investigators had wrapped up such a high-profile case so quickly. Questions arose about whether authorities were more interested in reassuring the public than in uncovering the full truth. Robinson was paraded in front of cameras, but the narrative felt too neatly tied together for an event so chaotic and devastating. Those doubts only deepened as eyewitness testimonies began to surface. Students and bystanders who were present described different accounts of the shooter. Some swore they saw a figure fleeing toward the parking garage. Others insisted the sound came from the rooftop. A few even claimed the shooter had been within the crowd itself. The inconsistencies were striking, not just in location, but in appearance. Several witnesses described someone wearing tactical gear, face concealed, and carrying a weapon that didn't match the hunting rifle police claimed Robinson used. Others said the gunfire itself sounded sharper, quieter, and far less thunderous than the round investigators pointed to. Eyewitnesses, especially when numerous and overlapping, may not be perfect, but when so many agree that details don't line up with the official story, it raises serious concerns. Forensic evidence, often seen as the final arbiter of truth, only added more confusion. Acoustic experts studying recordings from student phones determined that the sound captured during the shooting didn't resemble the blast of a .306 hunting rifle. Instead, it matched the signature of a smaller, possibly suppressed weapon. Medical notes leaked to the public described a wound inconsistent with a heavy-caliber shot, aligning more with lightweight ammunition. Firearms specialists questioned how Robinson could have allegedly carried, disassembled, and reassembled such a large rifle without being noticed, especially in a crowded and chaotic environment. And most concerning of all, no video evidence tied him directly to handling or firing the supposed weapon. In an age of smartphones and constant surveillance, the absence of clear proof stood out like a glaring omission. As if that weren't enough, the autopsy, the most crucial piece of forensic evidence in any homicide, remained sealed. Officials refused to release the full report to the public, fueling speculation that its contents might contradict the official narrative. Families, journalists, and independent analysts questioned why transparency was being withheld if the case was as straightforward as authorities claimed. With each missing detail, suspicion of a cover-up grew stronger. The growing skepticism didn't remain confined to independent researchers or online forums. Influential voices with massive platforms began to question the plausibility of Robinson's involvement. Joe Rogan, speaking on his podcast, asked how a stressed 22-year-old could calmly reassemble a rifle under pressure and execute a flawless shot without being detected. Candace Owens analyzed student video metadata, pointing out that the figure spotted on the rooftop before the gunshot didn't match Robinson's description. These were not fringe voices. They were commentators with national reach, capable of shifting public opinion. Their willingness to openly challenge the official account gave legitimacy to the growing unease and pushed the debate into the mainstream. At the same time, stranger details began to surface about the scene of the shooting itself. Observers pointed out that beneath the area where Charlie was struck lay irrigation pipelines and underground maintenance systems managed by the university. Photos revealed what appeared to be trapdoors and access points near the site. While no one claimed definitively that a shooter had used these pathways, the possibilities sparked fresh theories. Could the fatal shot have come from below rather than above or from a distance? If true, it would explain why the wound didn't have an exit point and why students nearby felt the sound was unusually close. Whether speculation or fact, the discovery of underground access deepened the mystery, suggesting the case was far more complicated than initially portrayed. As contradictions piled up, a theory gained traction. Perhaps this wasn't the work of a lone amateur, but of a professional. Witnesses described movements that seemed tactical, precise, and trained. The weapon, as reported, matched something more compact and specialized than a bulky hunting rifle. Independent investigators suggested the possibility of multiple shooters or a deliberate effort to frame Robinson as a scapegoat. The theory wasn't just that Robinson was innocent, but that his arrest had been part of a calculated effort to deliver a quick resolution to a horrified community. With so many unresolved questions, public pressure mounted. Families demanded answers, journalists pursued hidden leads, and communities voiced outrage at the lack of transparency. Each inconsistency eroded trust in the official investigation. The quick arrest that once seemed like closure now appeared suspiciously convenient. What began as a tragedy had transformed into a larger debate about justice, accountability, and the reliability of official narratives. Was Robinson truly guilty, or had the real shooter slipped away while an innocent man took the blame? The story of Charlie Kirk's death is more than a single tragic event. It is a mirror reflecting broader issues in American justice. Quick arrests may calm fears, but they don't guarantee truth. Eyewitness accounts, even under duress, can collectively expose flaws in official explanations. Forensic transparency is essential because when evidence is withheld, speculation fills the void. High-profile figures can amplify doubt, and public pressure can force authorities to confront uncomfortable questions. This case is no longer just about what happened on that September day at Utah Valley University. It has become a symbol of something larger, the ongoing struggle to uncover truth in a world where neat stories are often easier to sell than messy realities. One thing remains clear: this case is far from over. The unanswered questions, the inconsistencies, and the mounting scrutiny ensure that the debate will continue. Justice for Charlie Kirk and for Tyler Robinson, if he is truly innocent, depends on uncovering the full story. And until that happens, this tragedy will remain an open wound for the community and the nation. For more investigations into stories that challenge what we're told, make sure to subscribe.